Okay, I'm gonna reveal all the reasons the FX30 stands on its own as a cinematic beast for video creators. And at the end, I'll point out which factor I think makes this the camera that I would buy again in 2025. If you're new to my channel, my name's Jimmy. I'm a filmmaker who also worked on set on a number of Netflix, Disney, and Sony Pictures projects as an on-set videographer. Here on this channel, I do tutorials and reviews on all kinds of filmmaking and content creation gear. Okay, first up, no overheating. This has an incredible fan. You can see the vents for it there and on the bottom. So with this fan, you can run this camera for long periods of time, shooting interviews or whatever, and you're just not gonna have the problem with overheating. No one's really reported any issues with that. The next reason for me is how this camera system is focused primarily on video. So the button layout makes it a little more intuitive for us video shooters. You have pretty much everything you need: zebras, peaking shutter, ISO, white balance, iris button. The record buttons, you have a record button on the top, on the front. You can switch your shutter button to also be a record button. And one feature that I absolutely love about it as a video-centric system is the tally lights. You have a tally light on the front right here. So if you can see, should be a tally light in there. So yeah, so it's red there. Let me start and stop again so you can see. There's a tally light there. There is also this tally light here. Can't miss it. And then on the screen itself, if you can see, there's a red frame all the way around. So you can't miss that you're actually recording. And the great thing about that is that I have many times, rushed to try to get something in a run and gun setup and pressed like twice by accident instead of just pressing once. So I start and stop, and then I'm capturing the whole thing, and at the end, I look and I hit stop, and I realize it just started recording, which means I didn't get any of that footage. And I'm sure we've all been there. It is extremely frustrating. But with a video-focused, purpose-built machine like this, with these tally lights, you cannot miss the fact that you're recording or you're not recording. Also, just the buttons themselves, I haven't actually hit it twice like that before. So, I guess it's just the way it's designed is a little bit better. So next is the 10-bit color. Now with the A6700 series, a lot of people were excited because now on that 6000 lineup, now all of a sudden you could have 10-bit color, but just in the A6700. Some of the newer A7 series have 10-bit color as well. The older A7 series are all 8-bit, like the A7S II, which I also own, a full frame camera, but it is only 8-bit. Next is the Super 35 sensor. Now, I would not call this a downside. In my opinion, it's kind of an upside because you can get very good quality lenses for a fraction of the price of full frame lenses. A lot of times less than half the price for the same kind of lens, the same spec, same company, like a Sony 35mm I picked up recently. And if you're coming from an A6000 series, your lenses are going to work perfectly with this. If you're coming from a Micro Four Thirds system or other APS-C sensors, there's a good chance that you can run those lenses with an adapter on this camera as well. You'd have to double check and make sure on the compatibility of your particular lens for the Sony system. Also, nothing has replaced this camera yet in the cinema line. So the FX2 has come out, but it is a full frame camera. It doesn't replace the FX3. It does not replace the FX30. So there's no direct competitor within the Sony cinema lineup. You'd have to go to an A7 series camera to get a lot of these same specs. But again, the fact that it's purpose-built and designed for video shooters, and you can feel that when you're using it. It may not show up very well on a spec sheet, but when you're using it, you can feel that it's just a little bit easier, and the ergonomics just suit shooting video. And I love the magnesium alloy body. For me, the A7 series body style got a little bit boring I know it's just an external aesthetic. It does feel pretty meaty in the hand. I mean, I do have a cage on here. I got the titanium color, gunmetal color cage on there from Small Rig, but it goes in line with the magnesium alloy body on this as well. What I've found in almost every industry, things that are focus and purpose built generally do a lot better than the all-rounder kind of solutions. To be honest, an all-rounder kind of solution or any kind of a product with a lot of features, like every feature under the sun, is generally a cheap kind of product, in my opinion. We mentioned the FX2. Of course, we have the Sony Venice and the Burano, the FX6 as well, and FX9. There's a lot of different cameras in the cinema lineup. The one that this would get compared to the most, though, I would say would be the FX3. And let's be honest here. If you have FX3 kind of money, go buy the FX3. Because it's the identical camera, it's just the full frame version of it. So definitely, I mean, there's a couple other little spec differences in getting there into a full frame setup, but the price of the FX3 is so much more money than this. It's not even something that we should be comparing, in my opinion. If anything, I'd like to have both. And for the FX2 that just came out, I'm having a hard time falling in love with it. I don't hate it. I just think it's a little underwhelming. It doesn't call out to me the way the FX3 does, or the FX30 for its reasons. I think they've just tried to play it so safe in the middle, and for a particular type user, it's probably the best camera. I don't know who that user is, though. It's not me. So I guess the question is, who's this for? And like I'd mentioned earlier, if you're coming from the A6000 series, no question, this is the next logical upgrade, in my opinion, even over the A6700. The A6700 just wasn't exciting enough for me to upgrade. And then with overheating issues that I've heard about, just not worth it. And I'd also say that the A6700 just wasn't calling to me the way that this camera was. I mean, just look at it. This camera also has the new Sony menu on it. So if you've been a Sony shooter for a while, you know that they've had pretty much the worst menu on the market for quite some time. And I don't know when it changed, but on this camera, it definitely has the new version, which I find very easy to navigate, and I'm able to find my settings pretty quick. Looking at it on pictures, you might think it's like a brick, like one of the old Blackmagic cameras. It used to be like that. This is not like that. It feels really good in the hand. Like I say, it feels meaty, but it actually is really light because the magnesium alloy. Lighter than it feels solid, but it's lighter than you expect. So what's my favorite feature? Well, it's actually two. The first one being the tally lights, and the second one, the magnesium alloy body. Now, I know those seem like just purely aesthetic reasons, and maybe I shouldn't be basing my purchase solely on that. But to be honest, something like the A6700 could have been in the running, the A7 IV, or some other camera could potentially be in the running if it weren't for some of those little details like that that actually sold me on the full package. It's the little extras, those little tiny details that make the difference for me. Well, that's it for this video. I hope it was helpful or entertaining. If it was, please give me a thumbs up, and I'll catch you in the next one.